You might have to excuse the background noise, my rabbit is digging in her cage. But anyway, hi, my name is Cosmic Dust, also known as Cosmic the Muffin on all my socials, and if you haven't guessed by now, I'm a furry. So I'm making this video both as an introduction to my channel, because I plan on making plenty of furry content, but also a bit of an introduction to the furry fandom as a whole, because even though it's 2025, there's always new stuff to learn. Now, real quick, let's get the elephant in the room, or the rabbit in the room, out of the way. My Sona is not a rabbit. I chose a ragamuffin cat, but I wanted to start suiting right away, so I bought a pre-made off of the dealer's den. I didn't have enough money at the time to ask the maker of the pre-made for a head, even though they were offering, so I bought the pre-made, saved up enough money, and commissioned the head from someone else instead, so a head to match the suit is on the way. But this also isn't a suit of my main Sona. I bought the character that the pre-made was for as well. So to start this video off, the kind of content that you can expect from me, I am a furry artist and animator, so I will be doing lots of videos of like furry speed paints, art challenges, animations from time to time, and of course also as a fursuiter, I'm going to be making videos on fursuit facts, upkeep, you know, especially for people who are just starting to get into the fandom, because I've only been doing this for like less than a year. It'll be a year in like 2 months. 2 months. With that out of the way, why don't I start talking about how I got into any of this? So I would say that I've always been a furry since I was a kid, but I didn't start calling myself a furry and really diving into the fandom until about a year ago. My first introduction to anthropomorphic characters as a whole was the Ratchet & Clank games for the PS2. And after that, it just grew from there. It went from Ratchet & Clank to Sly Cooper to Sonic, you know, the Disney Renaissance, like common furry, like awakening stuff, you know. My first introduction to what the fandom itself actually was, I can't quite trace where that started. I do remember that college humor animation. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put a picture on the screen of the thumbnail for that video. I remember seeing that, and that was my first introduction to the word furry from what I remember. And of course, you know, since it was both exaggerated and misrepresentation, you know, I was like, if that's what being a furry is, I don't want any part of it. I'm not into the adult or spicy side of it. I just like the cute art and hanging out with other people who like to suit now, especially. So I would continue to draw like anthro animals because it was easier than drawing people and more interesting character design, of course. But I didn't give myself the label of furry because of that video, essentially. I didn't want people to think that I drew spicy stuff, and that was just my only knowledge of it. I didn't know anything else about it, so it was just lack of knowledge on my part that was keeping me away from the fandom as a whole. So I would call myself an anthro artist instead. And then my first introduction to fursuiting was at a comic convention that I actually had a table at. A fursuiter in a full suit came up to my table, liked my art, and asked for a commission. Unfortunately, with the knowledge from that college humor video that I had, I wasn't mean to them, but I was kind of like that pushback, like, yeah, okay attitude, and I feel bad about that now. And then I would continue to stay separated from having the furry label, despite continuing to draw anthro art, of course. And then, from what I can remember, the first time it clicked in my mind that I might be a closeted furry, so to say, was in college. I had cat ear headphones, and another student in my class came up to me, very politely by the way, and asked if I was a furry. And I said, no, I'm not. I just like drawing anthro characters and wearing things like cat ear headphones. They said, oh, okay, well, I just thought I'd ask. And then as soon as they left, I'm like, wait, if people think I'm a furry, then am I? So a couple years go on and I'm still like, I only like drawing anthros, I don't want to be considered a furry. And then I also grew up in the time, especially on TikTok, where there was that whole like war of furries versus gamers. Then cut to about a year ago, where I noticed it was a trend for a couple of YouTubers that I like to watch to talk about the origins of the furry fandom with the question, are they as bad as everybody thinks? And I thought, well, if it's a trend and so many people are talking about it, let's see what the hype is about. So in a sense, I went down the rabbit hole, watched all these videos talking about how furries aren't as bad as everybody says, how bad media and press ruined their image. And then I'm like, you know, that actually looks kind of fun. Fast forward to hearing about the dealer's den, finding a fursuit for a very good price, at least this mini partial, minus a head of course, and the rest is history. So if you want to stick around to see my channel grow, I'm going to be doing lots of things related to art, fursuiting tips especially for beginners, and I hope we're going to have some good fun and some good growth. And real quick before I end the video, like I might have mentioned already, I do have an actual head for this Sona on the way. It's commissioned and it's just being worked on, but I'm also saving up money to get a full suit of my actual Sona, because this one is a secondary one that I just bought from somebody, and then I made my own that I'm using to represent myself. So it's a pretty penny, but I'm putting the money away and I can't wait till that day finally comes. And yes, while I'm doing fursuit videos, I am going to be wearing this creepy rabbit head until my real head actually comes, but it gets the job done, you know? So I hope to see you in a future video. Have a great rest of your day, and I love you all. Mwah.